Sadnam, yogis and yoginis, hello everyone and welcome to 2025 and welcome Seva once again. Hello there.
Waheguru, thank you for the invitation, Satnam.
Yes, I think this is the best way that we can tune into the new year. And today we're going to talk about the numbers of the year. Since we like to study numbers, I think it would be great to approach the welcoming of the 2025 making a little reflection on the different numbers of it. So Seva Kaur has a channel as well in Spanish, and we have already a video doing this kind of welcoming right before the end of last year, and we were talking about the numbers in Spanish, but we were on holidays, I was traveling, and we wanted to do another one in English for you guys in English. So this is what we're going to be doing today. Seva, you want to say something first of all?
Yeah, well, thank you very much for the invitation, and it's just a pleasure. We did together the ending of the year in the Spanish channel, and now we are starting the year also in your amazing channel as well. So it's really a precious treasure. That would be the number 9, isn't it?
Yes.
The number 9 of the 2025. So yeah, you can just probably go ahead and we do it as usually. That is very nice, just spontaneously. We have had our own reflections and now we share it naturally in your channel.
Yes, let's just like a conversation. We're going to have to be mindful that some of the people who are going to be watching this, they don't know much about numbers, so we have to do kind of connect the things. But yeah, 2025. So when we look at the date of a year, we look at the different numbers that form the year. So we will have the 5, that the last number is the 25. The last number is 5. That's going to be an important number. And the 25 is also important. So 2 plus 5 is 7. So the 7 is going to contain the 5. And 2, 0 to 5, if we add everything, is a 9. So the 9 contains the 7 and the 7 contains the 5. I think we are going to basically focus on these 3 things, the 5, the 7, and the 9. There is some other subtle ways to study the date, like for example, using your birthday with the year, but that's a little bit more maybe advanced, and everybody's date is different, so we're not going to go into that. We're going to talk about the general approach to the numbers of this 2025. And I will put in the well, I don't know. I don't know. I was thinking now about Shiv Charan Singh's text, because our teacher, Shiv Charan Singh, every year he creates a text in which he talks about the year. And he produced it only a few days ago, so I myself haven't even had a chance to read it yet. But we had our own reflections, so we're going to talk about our reflections, and then I'm going to put the link to that text or some way to access it. I will put it in the description of this video below later on. Yeah. But yeah, let's start with the 5, the 7, and the 9. What's the best, the first place you would go into, Seva?
Well, yeah, first of all, I would say thank you to our beloved teacher to be sharing for decades all the knowledge and wisdom and guidance that we are sharing also with others and has transformed our life. And just to honor it, just sharing that today, 14th of January, is his birthday. So would be very good to start from there. Thank you so much. Our huge gratitude to him, isn't it?
Yeah, that's
and happy birthday.
Yeah, happy birthday to him.
And from there, yes, actually, Shiv Charan Singh. And the first place I would actually mention the transition that we are coming from 2024, which are all the numbers are female numbers. The pair numbers are female, and then the odd even numbers. Yeah, in the odd numbers are male numbers, and we are now in 7 and 9 with the 5, which is the bridge, going from one axis to the other one. But to simplify it, we are coming from a female year. We are going to this year probably having the presence of the male qualities, and let's see how that gets expressed in the world. That means odd numbers like being information more than feeling. That would be the more female numbers. And going then next year, so it's going to be back to the female numbers, but that's going to happen with the 10. Yeah, so that's going to be the explosion of the female voice. So that's going to be
6, 8, 10.
this transition between this year coming from the past one.
And with the 10,
Exactly.
there's also
Yeah,
like
so
a sense,
6 and
the 10 is also like something complete. So whatever we have been going through from 2020, 21, 23, 24, 25, and next year, the 26, the addition will be 10. So it will be a feeling that something gets complete. And then we go into the second half of when we enter the second half of this decade. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. So even numbers are female, odd
Exactly.
numbers are male, and all of them are quite high. So we see the 7 and the 9 going up, going higher. And this concept of information is interesting. As you were saying, it reminded me that when if you study how people learn, there is two ways of understand things, and one is the cognitive understanding and the affective understanding. Yeah, there is a cognitive side to us and there is an affective side to us. So the cognitive is the one that deals with the information, and that will be the numbers 7 and 9. And the affective is those which talk about feelings, how we feel. So there is always like a content, like the cognitive, and a process, the feeling. So we come from a year of a lot of process, a lot of feeling, a lot of emotions, a lot of things moving, a lot of water and air. And now we're going to go into fire and earth, which is this cognitive and thoughts and beliefs and ideas and all the things that are going to be connected to that realm. So we come from a yin, we go into the yang, and next year will be yin again. We are the whole decade we are doing this transition, yin yang constantly.
Yeah, and following up what you are bringing, also the 6 is like the warrior side, and it's already that impact, yeah, of the presence used to be this impacting and this strong influence in the world. And the 10 is kind of similar but huge, like this amazing explosion. So it could be explosion of consciousness, this thing of bringing or coming back, but into that global realm, no, and that strong way. So that's also because we are in the 5, like the transition as well in the year, in the unit of the year, coming from 4, staying in 5, and then going into 6. We know these are the 3 stages of the flower of consciousness. In the 4 is in the inner bath, and once you are touching your inner heart, then you go into the transition, opening up, and then the full flower in its full amazing presence is in the 6. So maybe
year.
It's a good year also to know that we are in the bridge, yeah, and this year we are in the transition to it. So in that transition is speaking about transformation, yeah, from the inside out is happening. So a lot of transformations and learning, as you were saying, Ardaas, of how different ways of learning. So this is a year to integrate in this integration of what we learn, to also discover our identity, yeah, to tune into our true self. That would be 4 and 6, and how to do it in this inner transformation, but actually happening in a huge scale. Events are going to be happening and influencing us from beyond our personal realm, our personal daily thing.
It's because we are in higher numbers, right? Because we're going to the 7 and the 9, which is going global and huge and wide and subtle, no?
Yeah, the influence of what's going on in the whole planet affecting our daily experience. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Yes, and it's interesting. You just a second ago, you made a pause in the middle of the sentence, as you were saying, and you said rediscover ourselves, I think that word is particularly interesting in this coming year, rediscovery. And the pause is there, I believe, because there is a number of words we can use. And one of the words that wants to come up is reinvent myself. We want to reinvent ourselves, which talks about invention. Invention is something related to number 7, because it's connected to the mind. The mind likes to invent things. But the big difference between the 7 and the 9, which is a key difference we need to learn during this year, is the difference between what Shiv Charan uses to make this connection between the magic that when men create something, the magic that is created by men, and the magic that created the humans. Yeah, they created us. So there is some magic that is transcendent, that is wider, that it affects us all, and it's intelligent and is guiding us. That's the 9. And then there is like the little tricks that a magician does, like hiding something behind a mirror and creating a puff of smoke and something appears. That kind of magic is 7. And the mind has a lot of that. The mind is like a puff of smoke. It's like in the middle of the smoke, there is some imagination and fantasy. And in the smoke, sometimes you can project lights. The 7 is connected to fire, and fire creates light. So you put into the smoke. I don't know if anybody has seen these 3D shows with lasers in the clouds. They put some smoke and they draw with the lasers. So the mind is a little bit like that. And also, another thing, I'm connecting many thoughts, then I will come back to the 7 and the 9. But have you seen how a video is just many images put together, one next to the other, and the fantasy that we get is that is real movement. There is no movement. There's just many stills put one after the other. But if you do it quick enough, the mind that is seeing it, the perceiving one, thinks that it's real. And it's like one continuous thing happening. But mind also works like that. It creates all these thoughts and creates these patterns and creates these images. And we think that there is something continuous and real behind that. But it's not real. Just like every day we go to sleep and we forget who we are, and we wake up and then we remember again, and we think there is a continuity to that. But the actual continuity from day to day and from life to life, that's the soul, that's the spirit, that's going into the subtle realm, that's the 9. So that soul and that continuity, that magical thing that continues from one life to another, that one is the intelligent one and is a magical one. The other one is like drawing with laser into the clouds. That's the false one. So when we approach the concept of finding ourselves, Satnam, Sohail, hello. Thanks to joining us. I have disabled the messages on the screen today, but I see you in the chat, Satnam, and hello, welcome to the stream. And Happy New Year. So when we approach this concept of looking towards ourselves, because the 7 and the 9 is going to push us out into the clouds and into the ethers, into the subtle realms, but the 5 is there first. And the question of number 5 is, who am I? Because if we come from the 1, which is at the lower numbers, we come from I am, I exist, what am I? The 2 would be how am I? The 3 would be why am I? The 4 is when am I? When am I real? When do I exist? And when you get to the 5, then you ask, who am I? So number 5 is a number of identity, which is something that I explore a lot with Ramana Maharshi, hidden a little bit on there in the screen. Now the self-inquiry, a topic that we talk a lot in this channel. Okay, so who am I? So this year we come from this 5, who am I? And then comes the 7 and the 9. And the 7 is going to want you to reinvent yourself, like create more magic and mirrors, magic through mirrors and smoke, to kind of pretend that you are something and fake something and give the image that you are something, put on some mask that you are something, and maybe even believe it yourself. But behind all this, there is the 9. There's a real magic that created us. There is a real intelligence. There is a real essence that continues. That you don't reinvent it. You rediscover it. So I just caught that. I don't know if all that was happening in that little instant when my sister was saying that sentence, and just pausing between what I was going to say and then ended up saying like rediscovery. But I like the idea of discovery because it's like taking off the covers. taking off the layers. No, it's like unveiling, right? Like unveiling, removing all the veils. And this is a year for that. Rediscover ourselves.
Yeah. That's the word we do in Karam Kriya, isn't it? Just being very precise and accurate in the words. And discovery is a word we would express in the 4 and 6, because that's having conscious, being aware, and at the same time in itself, as you are saying, is taking out the covers which are imposed by the mind. So that's when you can just see through and see beyond. And in the language of the 5 would be having the experience of your own magic, of the magic that you are referring to, and how sometimes we have the impression that it's very far away, because the number 9 is the last number before going in again to the unity. So the path has been very long, 1 to the 9, and it seems the 9 is the subtle body, 9 is the guru, and 9 is your own spirit. It seems to be so far. And in the 5 from the throat, 5, 5th chakra, is when you can call out the 9, your own spirit, your own intelligence and guidance, which seems to be so high to descend. And the 9, 1 and 9 is this verticality. So you call it out so that you don't go there, but so that it descends to you. And for that to happen, as you were, Ardaas, describing of the images, how it seems like, it's a huge wall separating us, that wall that is created with the projection of the minds. And as you were saying, one image and another image and another image, and sometimes the teachings describe it like layers after layers, but in between one image and the other image, there is little gaps, isn't it? In those little gaps, very, very small, is where it can be permeating, the subtle body can find the crack so that it goes and reaches us. So to just have it very present, what is really ruling our self, our behavior, our habits, and the experience of our world can be either taking the space, our beliefs and opinions and interpretation of things, or we can put that aside somehow to make it transparent. That means to just being able to do a step back, zoom out, seeing the global picture so that the 9 can come through and tune into it. I have the feeling of this year being a kind of year to remind. It comes to me several times. Let us know as well as Ardaas, if there is any sentence that comes, like the portal, the threshold is open. Something like that. The threshold is open. You can call out the 9 and it's going to hear you. And you're going to hear the, how do you say that? See the unseen and hear the unspoken. They speak the unspoken and hear the non-heard things, whatever you cannot hear. It's going to be able to much more easily have it like a real experience in your own body, in this material expression, in your own identity, related to your own identity.
That's key, though, in your own body, right? Because I have as you were speaking, I could imagine some people wanting to go towards that 9 and trying to escape. And we know 9 is also the number of drugs and things like that. So people will want to access that 9 in some way, forcing it to go into that. But actually, the way I understand what you were saying is not crossing through the gaps to get out, staying in the threshold, staying in your body and calling to that and letting the whatever has to come through the subtle body reach us because of those gaps that are opening and the subtle body being able to come. So staying in the threshold and calling for that.
Yeah, exactly. And even I remember our teacher, he was saying sometimes when it's so intensified that impersonal numbers, it's good to actually also bring the other aspect of the axis. So if we talk about the number 9, on the other ending of the axis is the 1. So the same in the number 9, in the subtle body, in the spiritual realm, in your highest consciousness, is the same than going into your own one, into your own inner depth of your own soul. So bringing the focus in my own crystallization, in my own being of the subtlety. And it brings me into this, as you were saying, smoke, yeah, and you were referring to how the smoke can cloud your way of seeing. And it was, for me, connecting to this subtlety of the 9 brought here in this one, in this in yourself as an individual, connected to this smoke, like the subtle fragrance of the 9. So just having the sense, the 9 is the smell, 1 and 9 is the smell, yeah? So this perfume and fragrance of your own pure being. And I'm saying pure, I know it's not 1 and 9, but the concept is being totally in your own essence, there is a certain fragrance. So having the feeling that you can surround yourself with and emanate, yeah? The 9 infiltrates every little gap and reaches you. And from there, you emanate that fragrance in your own identity to the world.
Yes.
The fragrance of peace, the fragrance of your spirit.
Yes. I think it's good if we explore the dharmic and the karmic. The side that is, the karmic is what when we say about something that has been tainted, has been corrupted in some way, of every number has that side, and the dharmic is the one that remains pure, and you are bringing the pure side to the 5, the 7, and the 9. When I was saying smoke and mirrors, I think I was referring more to the karmic side, but I had not thought about it. We didn't even talk about smoke and mirrors in the other video we did, but I remember smoke and mirrors, these two tools that magicians use, that's kind of like the 9 and the 7. The smoke is like the 9, the subtle, and the mirrors is the changing the image and bringing one instead of another. So that's kind of like the 7, but that's more in the karmic side. So using smoke and mirror is like pretending, is like faking, is a karmic expression of the 7 and the 9, and you are suggesting that there is some fragrance. And that fragrance concept, coming back to the blooming of this flower, the flower of consciousness that you were saying from 2024, 25 to 26, 4, 5, 6, from the closed bud to the open flower, this transition that we are doing now, I can imagine, look, 7 is the image, right? So looking at a flower and imagine this beautiful flower that you see it open, and then you approach this beautiful rose, and then you get close and has no smell. Can you imagine how disappointing is that? You know, you go to the shop and they have all these beautiful flowers, but nowadays many of them are genetically modified to make it more beautiful, not necessarily smell better. And genetics is number 9 because it's gene. Gene is generate, is the start, is the beginning, and number 9 is like connected to the 1, so the generate, and genius as well is the 9. So they genetically modify these flowers to make them more attractive, like visually. That's the 7. But then as you get to smell, there's no essence there. And how disappointing can that be, that there is something that attracts you and then there is nothing in there? So can we tune into the other aspect, to that 9 is the essence of the soul, yeah, the essence of the 1, and when you are tuning into that 1 and you know who you are, that's the 5 and the identity, then that there is a fragrance that comes from that and is perceived even beyond what the eyes can see. There is something that can be smelled, no? In the other one, you can smell the fragrance in the other. So that was interesting.
Yeah, it was also, once you realize about that, the 5 is vibration, vibrated, isn't it? It's like give it voice and have it, like allow it to happen in your own vibration of your own being. And vibration is what you talk, and also the state of consciousness where you are. Your thoughts also having some vibration. So that means vibrate your own state of your own being. Yeah, Karta Purak, that would be the number 5. And to speak it through, to open it, to vibrate it. I don't know, Ardaas, if you can hear me.
Hold on, Seva. I think I have an error.
Well, you were referring, to the essence, bringing into you, and also to the 5 being your own identity, and just reminding that the 5 is vibrating, so vibrating your own being, and the vibration stays with your word, with your thoughts, and the state where you are inside yourself, and that way of sending out vibrations of peace. That would be a good way of expressing the numbers. And also, when you said about the virus and the virtues, the most elevated side, the dharmic or the karmic side of it, also it was coming to me this reminding to the ones who are listening to us that when we approach the qualities of the numbers of the year, is tuning into what's happening now in the present moment, how that could be expressed, but it's not an adivination, oracle, or some kind of predicting whatever is going to happen within the future. But actually, it is there in the vibration of the numbers, and then it depends to us what are we going to do with those numbers. So each number is going to have the virus and the virtue. What are we going to be talking? For instance, in the 5, what is your word going to bring? All the load of your 7, your mind, is going to be distorted by your thoughts, your personal agenda, or is going to be tuning into that magicness. And then your words are going to have that expression of vibrating the highest in you, for instance. And that is good to also remember. 5, 7, and 9 are just numbers with many qualities and could be expressed in the elevating way, or unconsciously could go into the demoting way. So being conscious of it is going to allow us to make the best or take the best of it and express it, having that input. And there is this way of saying it, like we say in the teachings, virus and virtue, and we say demon or diamond, or we say karmic dharmic, or we say victim, go into the victimized consciousness, or into victory, and we had mystery or mastery, or we have monster or the master. So we have these qualities of just having, what are you going to be tuning to? What are you going to tune into it? Exactly. It's going to depend on each of us. What do you want to vibrate?
I think partly this is the service we hope it can bring this talk as well, to identify some of the karmic qualities of those 5, 7, and 9, and talk about them in a way that we can maybe transform them into the dharmic qualities. Because again, the number can be many things. So if it's manifesting in one way in your life, then if you recognize it, first of all, recognition means consciousness. As soon as you bring consciousness to something, you are giving it the one ingredient to transform it. Without consciousness, there's no transformation. You cannot take responsibility for your life and commit to change anything if you don't become aware of the thing that you need to change. So by talking, and I think we need to go into this, Seva, a little bit more. What is the karmic side of the 5 and the 7 and the 9 for this coming year, so that those who are listening, they can be very mindful, and when the thing arises, notice it and watch out, because my typical reaction would go into this, and that's going to create all sorts of karmic consequences. So rather than doing that, can I tap into this other aspect? Like you were saying, calling for peace, no? Like asking for the peace to come, the 9. So it might be good to do that, I think, a little bit. So let me start a little bit, and then you carry on. The number 5 is the 5 in the middle, and the 5 in the middle we generally think is like the middle path, and we generally think of it like such a wonderful thing from Buddha to tell us, no, walk the middle path. But to actually be right in the middle is really difficult. If you put like very, very thin edge and a long stick and two weights on one on each side, and you try to keep it exactly balanced, it's very easy that one sound is going to be heavier than the other. So to actually be right in the middle is extremely hard. So the number 5 could feel like a constant feeling of disharmony and this balance, imbalanced, like constantly looking for that balance and not finding it, looking for the harmony and not finding it. There's never a perfect harmony, and it's perfectly fine. You don't have to have a perfect harmony. When we do an orchestra is going to play a concert and they're going to make some music, before everything they tune in all of them to some reference, right? That's the 9. I'm just bringing little details, so that it's not total chaos. But none of the instruments are going to be absolutely perfectly spot on every chord and every sound. Sometimes there's a little bit of, some hertz up or down, but that's going to be part of the beauty of the music. But sometimes you may feel in the middle of the concert and feel like, oh, I'm totally out of tune with what's happening. So I can imagine the expression of this 5 could be like, I'm out of tune with what's happening around me. I am imbalanced. I am not in harmony. And that would be like the 5 aspect. And that's one aspect. The 7 could come in with the mind in the more judgmental way. The one who is telling you are out of tune, you are in this harmony. And actually the mind could also be the one who is creating this harmony or this out of tune thing. Actually, the mind could even believe that it is perfectly in tune and creating a lot of this harmony, maybe even in the environments and around, because 7 is also a space around us and 9 is a global thing. So we may be having an impact into the global space around us that is creating all sorts of this harmony and the mind being oblivious to it. That's why this element of consciousness is important. But in the 9, we're going to experience that also, because 9 is the last number of all. And you've done 1, 2, 3, 4 up until 9. By the time you get to 9, you're very close to 10, but you've walked a long path. So one of the expressions of 9 is exhaustion, is tiredness, and it's like feeling like at the end of your capacity. So this may be a year where we may feel at times that it's exhausting, particularly in things related to the mind, the 7. So the way we think, the way we believe, maybe even some habits or patterns, some karmic patterns in our life may feel so tiring, so exhausting to carry on with those. Like we feel there's nothing else. We cannot do anything more. It may feel extreme because it's the last number before 10, so that's an extreme. So it may feel like we are reaching the end of our capacities. And that's a very good point to remember this conversation we are having right now. Remember, well, wait a moment. That's one manifestation of the 9. Maybe I'm not tapping into it in the right way. Maybe there is something I can change, which is hopefully something we're going to talk about today. But if you recognize in yourself that aspect that you're exhausted, you can't anymore. 9 is like, not anymore, no more, no. Like you reach the end. It's like the end. You cannot see anymore. Then there may be a need to a complete change. 5. And a big word that is for me this next year, I was telling Seva before, one of the strongest words that coming to me this year is reset, a new reset, because that's a word, reset, that it's a very technological word. We speak about it for the computers and for electronic things, and that's number 7 is electronics and technology. But it's like a new level, like a new thing, and new is connected to 9. Even the word is connected. The root of the words are connected, and it's about changing something, which is number 5. So the word reset is something to keep in mind throughout the whole year. So if we find ourselves at times when we cannot deal with the mind anymore, it's getting to an extreme. So from the 7 is going to the 9. It's going to an extreme where we feel we're going crazy. That how can it be? How can this be? There may be a need to a reset, to do some form of reset. That's one detail that might be useful. Some things that are coming to mind, but Seva, on to you.
Very interesting, very expressing how we could walk one path in different ways, yeah, to go into this exhaustion. And it reminded me to a very clear example as well that Shiv brought, talking about this year. And it was a different way of saying, very similar to what you were saying. You said the 5 is in the center, yeah, exactly, of the 10. So the 10 is the 0 of the totality of the 10. And the 5 is in the center of that totality. You can imagine would that be the experience of being in the center of the totality of it would be very unthinkable. We couldn't really even imagine the totality of the universe and cosmos and more beyond than the infinite. So you are in this very center, and in the very center is you. Yeah. We are saying the 5 is your identity, so really challenging. So what used to happen is that instead of being in the center of our own being, this center gets displaced, and it gets displaced into the corner of the number 7. If we had the graphics, we would see 1, 2, 3, then 4, 5, 6 above, and above 7, 8, 9. So the 5 is again in the center, and in one corner there is the 7. So your center goes displaced, and you think that's you. And actually it's your thoughts, your understanding of the things, and your beliefs, and whatever you have the heritage of people has told you about yourself and everything, and you think it's you. And you think that's your center, your identity, and you identified with that. But you know, when the whole wheel, yeah, which the center gets displaced, is like there is a little bump in the wheel, and then the wheel can go round on the path, but goes just like bumping. Yeah. So it's like something is not really harmonized because there's been this displacement in that center. So that was a way of illustrating how we can think, yeah, that we are in that center, and then either life or our own soul needs to challenge that and needs to tell us, hey, what you thought it was you, it was not really you. It was false identification, needs to be rebalanced. And then the bump that gives you so that you can also get closer to the real center implies you need to drop those beliefs, and you need to restructure, deprogram, so that you can reprogram, and that would be the reset of the number 9. So being able to allow the transformation of your own beliefs and thoughts, and that means the history that we're carrying. That when we speak theoretically, it sounds very nice, but when we apply it in our life, that means that we had an issue with whoever in our family, our work, our friends of us, whatever. A different approach that we have followed up to now might imply forgiveness, for instance. And in that forgiving, that would be, okay, restructure the story that we had and just rewrite it back again, and by doing that, getting closer to that center. And that could be very challenging, and it could be completely transformative, a radical transformation in harmonizing our way of going through that path. The path is the number 5, and the 9 is step by step. Each step, we have that opportunity of transforming whatever we were carrying so heavily, and say, this is a year to transform, number 5, all those issues we had, that we were looking at it with our small, narrow view of the things. Requires a total transformation, and forgiveness is a great way of doing it. Otherwise, we go into wall after wall, and that imprisons us. And that would be, the karmic way of doing it. We don't advance we think we might go forward, but we are completely stuck and completely blind. We cannot tune into that harmony of our spirit. So we have that 2 ways to actually go with it, getting closer to our own center. Yeah.
Wow, that's very powerful, huh?
And just a little brief, and that also connects to 7 steps to hell. Yeah, 7 steps to hell and 7 steps to happiness. That's so radical, it might be. And this is tuning into it. Next year is 10, absolutely extreme.
Wow, it's very, very powerful. I was having this image of something round, and how, you know, it seems that it's moving like a wheel, but it's going up and down and up and down, and there is some clonk, 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 and you don't know what's happening, no? And it could be that we don't know what was the influence that made us go from the center to the side. We don't realize when we went from that 5 to the 7, but it's been all these influences we've been having from everywhere, and also from around us, and from the time that we were born up until where we are now. But the fact is, we are out of center. We are not right in the middle. Only a Buddha is already 100% in the middle, right? So, but this year we're gonna feel it as the wheel is going round and round. We're gonna feel tired. If we are out of the center, we're gonna feel like all these bumps, and the 9 is gonna be like all this tiredness, and like we are fighting against something. And I was thinking, how interesting is this metaphor that Shiv Charan uses, connected to the course we were doing just right before Christmas. I'm losing some signal. I hope the internet is working okay. I hope you are hearing me well. But just before Christmas, we talked about the Yoga Sutras, and there is one quite important difference between dharana and dhyana, between concentration and meditation. And in the concentration, you are having movements which are concentric around a center, around some center. And it requires some effort. You're trying to look for the center. You're looking for that middle point where the essence of yourself is. And by looking for it, you're going around and around, and it takes a lot of effort to go around. I'm also having the image of a black hole and being caught into that. But anyway, when we are concentrating, we are doing effort. When you find the middle, the meditation point, when you are meditating, when you are in dhyana, there is no effort. And this is how, if another symbol which is circular is a watch. And when we are in the edge of the little, the hands of the watch, the hands are moving, and we experience a lot of the passing of the time. And this is like when you are making a big effort to meditate, 5 minutes of meditation will feel like an hour. But when we are in the middle point, when we are fully in the center, 1 hour of meditation feels like 5 minutes. So it's like this radical difference between the effort that you feel that you are putting into life when you are out of the center. And when you are balanced, then everything is so smooth, like time's not moving, everything is happening, flowing in a harmonious way. There is harmony with everything.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. I would like also, Ardaas, to mention something that might, because we know this, we are living times of disinformation. Yeah, what we are receiving as well, because we referred before to the 7 and 9, like content and information, what we are receiving, from the outside world, and how we integrate or internalize whatever we hear about that. So I would like also to mention how through that information, the focus, you were saying about the focus, no? How do you say it? What do you do the effort, or you actually get your concentration, and this means where are you focusing to? Yeah, so about all this information that comes in, also there is some trying to information is 9. There is the intention of control, and this control is the number 7. And how this is happening also referring to this use of the language, like saying in the name of something good for everyone or something that gets benefit for whole humanity or whatever. Yeah, in the name of something of the general good, there is some intention. This is of trying to control, and how important is where we are aware of it. Yeah. In the name of what are we really allowing these restrictions and this control being imposed? So that's also something I wanted to bring to this space. I don't know if you want to also comment on that, but we've lived already in one country, in many countries along the planet, isn't it? In the name of, and then we kind of allow our space, our 7, to be more controlled, more manipulated, restricted, and being into the 9, becoming a dictatorship, yeah, becoming very in the tyrannic way, being into the karmic side of it. And we could also reverse that so that it could be in the name of certain virtue would bring, like we said, forgiveness, tolerance in the number 9, in the name of peace. What would we allow to happen in our daily life? You know, this kind of, in this sense. I don't know if you want to bring something, or if it suggests something to you. That would be the 5, in the name of what? In the 7, control is imposed. In the 9, how it's going even to dictate, so to the extent of tyranny.
Yes, to me it's connecting to...
That's something that also brings shift.
Yeah, rules and laws is coming to me. How from the 7 is like, that's the mind, the ego, who imposes a number of rules. And the 7, sometimes we call it the false king. The king would be the 9, but the 7 is the false king. Is the one who thinks he is the one who has all the authority and the power. But actually the 7 is below 8 and 9. But it tries to impose that authority through creating those limits through those rules as well. So the 7 creates all sorts of rules, but they are no substitute for divine law, for something that is higher. The divine law would be the 9. And it comes back to this concept of man-made magic, or the magic that made man, the 7 and the 9. But yes, so these are going to be very relevant this next year. What about rules? What about laws? What is happening? What is being imposed? What is being imposed in a, how do you say, dictatorial way, no, on us, that is being enforced on us in some way? Maybe rules and laws about what we can exchange with each other. That's the 5, like words, our communication, the way we communicate with each other. I think Shivcharan was making an emphasis on this as well. And I just today I was seeing some news that some people in Europe wanted to ban X, no, the platform for the media like Twitter, the old Twitter, and this is just, imposing control on what people can say and cannot say, censorship basically. And we can see more of this coming up, trying to impose some laws on people, that trying to control what people say and what people don't say, because it can be too confronting to be able to say anything for some people, no? If you tell them the truth, if the truth is conveyed. But the truth is coming, is next year, is number 6, right? So what's going to happen this year? Where is our focus going to be?
Exactly. What is our focus to? Where we place our focus, yeah. Exactly. And whatever happens, also to remember this double think, as you were mentioning in the 9 exhaustion, like, and surely we could actually take this aspect like in the dharmic way, something needs to get into dust. Something needs to be exhausted and complete this kriya. And then from there on, just to be more able to give next step more into our own center, as we referred in the previous conversation. So as challenging that it might happen during this year, and as dark it might go in that way of dictatorship, censorship, and the human rights being limited or whatever. Yeah, tuning into where are we getting, are we going to establish our focus, what is our guidance, what is our reference, and the mantra of the number 9 is the keep up. So just keep up, just keep vibrating your being in the number 5, tuning into that and getting into what is bringing harmony, yeah, and what is distorting that harmony. So many in the 9 as well, we talk, remember that in our meeting in my own channel, when we were talking about reset, we also talk about a lot of madness and non-rational things, non-explainable things as well. At the same time, crazy neurotic ideas happening around. Let's just keep up, being in your own alignment, tune into it, and just keep up. Yeah, step by step, calm, perseverance, steadiness.
We may feel we are the crazy ones, right? In a world totally following these rules and these regulations and these everybody following the status quo, everybody going through the same line, and the ones who are considering the possibility that there is something else, there is something beyond, there is something more, there is another alternative, that may feel crazy. And we know that there is always a very thin line between genius and crazy, right? But maybe can we dare to be the weird ones? Because number 9 is the number of the weird, the crazy, and the alien. Yeah, can we be the aliens ones? Yeah, can we be the ones who are the outside voice in the center, right, in the group? That's 975. Yeah, can we be the outside voice? Can we be the alien voice in the group? And to dare to do that, to have that courage. That might be interesting. But with this concept of 9 as well, and with all this madness and with all these things going around, that's another point. Is this is 2025? There is no number 1 in here. So Shiv Charan was saying, this is not a year to particularly start too many projects, to open up new avenues and places where you have to invest more energy. Hold on, I think I'm losing the connection again. Where was I? Yeah, this is not a year to start too many things and to open up new places where you have to invest your energy, but the opposite. Rather, this is the year to complete things that you have left in the back burner, that they weren't complete, and you were like, well, I will get around to it. I will do it some other time. This is the time to do it. This is the year to do it. It may be too late next year. So if you have some projects that are unfinished, get them done now. And that would include not just projects to materialize in the world, but as Seva was pointing out before, maybe issues that you have left pending with some relationships, and maybe something that has been left unspoken with that person. You know, sometimes like you hear somebody dies and the other one, I wish I had told them that thing when they were alive. Well, it's not about life or death situation, but in a way, if you have left something unspoken, this may be the year to do it. And the forgiveness again comes into there. No, you have some relationships that you had, and you harbored some resentment or some feelings of betrayal or whatever it was, the kind of feeling that is making you feel angry or vengeful or whatever. This is the year for forgiveness. This is the year to close all those lines, to not. These are all taking you out of your center. Is all your making you, be out of balance all the time. So let's get back to the center. Let's get rid of all the extra weights that we have outside of the if this is moving like that, it's because it's very heavy on one side. The circle is not balanced. So to have a balanced life, it will also mean this, to remove all the extra weight that we carry with these lists of everything that people do wrong about, to me, and the victim mentality, this going from the victim to the victor that Seva was pointing out. So forgiveness is going to be a major key also to start this journey towards the 7 steps to heaven.
Yeah, very, very interesting. We could talk so much, isn't it? Unfortunately, I've got just a few minutes left, Ardaas. I'm really sorry because I'm enjoying so much the conversation, and it's so interesting. I think there is a lot of jewels to bring, and I would just like to mention, according to what you were bringing in the last sentences you were sharing, about finishing things out, about bringing forgiveness. And also in the 5, the 7 comes with the 5 inside it. So in the quality of your communication, just to be aware of how is your communication when you approach those situations or wanting to close those chapters, those chapters of your life. And how we were talking also regarding the 9, to bring into completion, and how it was coming with this reset and this that is coming up once and again, like this reset, this renewal, and the is also in rest, so that we can also rest in peace, isn't it? So we can really be in peace with ourselves, have a good rest, which means we will be able to sleep better. More and more, there is more people having issues with resting and sleeping. So closing those chapters in this quality of how are you expressing, giving voice to this not judgmental way, which brings forgiveness and brings this completion, reset, renewal, and renovation, and being able to restart from a different place in oneself. To allow ourselves to do that. Number 7 is about allowing. So being aware if there is something inside ourselves that is not allowing to do that, and finishing it out. Allow yourself to be in peace. Otherwise, it's going to be a total hell. So we don't want that. We are starting the year. So the soonest, the best, isn't it?
Well, Seva, thank you very much for being with us. To our listeners, just a brief mention. I want to say that those of you who know, I have a podcast with not Seva Kaur, but Sat Seva Kaur is a different person. It's a psychologist from India, Jnana, she's called. And the second season we are starting in a few weeks, and it will be about exactly this, going from the victim to victory, how to heal trauma. So we're going to do that. But thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Sohail. I just saw your message right now. Thank you for being here with us and everybody else who watched. And tune in again and have a very blissful new year. Have enough of rest and let peace come down upon you. Waheguru. Thank you, Seva.
Waheguru. Thank you very much, Ardaas Singh ji.